every time, every episode, ain't shit changed. Where the cat?
Giving tree.
I'm locked down.
Goonie.
Some unreleased shit, right?
Yeah.
Sound Law Studios, let's get it.
Look, just be positive, ignore all of that negative stuff. Take the rope off of your neck, I know you ready to jump. You've been through a lot of shit and people think you a punk. I understand, I don't agree, it's time that you toughen up. You see that life gives us challenges, and the way that you respond decides the things that you experience. I know you probably think I'm old and delirious. I'm not, I'm 28, I'm being serious.
What up?
Look, defend yourself and they gon' say you acting tough. Fight for them and they gon' ask you why you even standing up. The world bitter,
Cold world.
like a lick without they drugs. Speaking of them, I don't recommend you ever try this stuff, but if you do, just be safe and make sure this shit ain't cut. I seen drugs turn my friends into bums. I see money make them desperate with no love. You see everybody's loyal till they not, and every woman is a wife until she thought. I don't even know. Let's move along. You know what trapping got me? Money and some shit that I don't want you see. When the money come, Satan comes to take it back. Actions are reactions, either way the consequence is fat. Understand the risk you take before you take the stand and rat. Cause if you testify on men, then we can't take the time to chat.
Fendi, hola!
Wagwan.
Nah, that was tough.
Appreciate
That was
that,
tough.
bro.
I ain't gonna jazz. I'll fuck with that. Word to guys.
Word.
But what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Montana. You are now tuned in the Real Rap Podcast. Y'all see me all of the time. We a family now. We see each other every week. You get what I'm saying? So salute to everybody who's here. But who I'm here with?
The real Goonie J in the flesh from Manchester, CT. Definitely a pleasure to be out here in Bridgeport and everything. Once again, shout out Mr. Montana for having me. We just did an event. What was it? Like a week and a half ago now?
Just about.
Broke the ice like that. Now I'm here. You know, we're going to do a little interview real quick, but I'm excited to see what we got going today. So
Yes, Goonie J. So we already heard you say you from Manchester, right?
Yep.
I want you to speak on what your experience was like growing up in Manchester.
I would say honestly, overall, pretty good. I can't really complain as far as like upbringing goes and stuff like that. I got to meet a lot of different types of people. So the cool thing with like where I'm from is it's like you have people that are like, let's say Section 8, and then you got people that are like in damn near mansions. Okay. So it's like you got all walks of life interacting with each other. So when you look at most diverse places in like the whole country, Manchester's in like the top, I believe it's like 30% or something like that for different types of like people that live there. So I never got like put in a box or stuck in a corner where I couldn't explore or be creative with like different types of things. It was like always a natural lesson or a new thing to learn. You know what I mean? So that helped me with the music shit too, because it's like walking in different rooms and things like that. It doesn't matter. Like there's no elephant in the room for me. I'm comfortable wherever I go. So it's like it's definitely a blessing to have grown up there, to say the least.
So you said it was a mix of Section 8 and like mansions and stuff, right?
Right.
So what was you doing when you was growing up? Was you the hooper? Or was you just always involved in music in some kind of way?
I was I did sports and shit. So I did baseball, karate, but like the weed thing was always big to me and music was always big to me. So before like high school time, so like 2013 I think it was, I did my first solo concert. So I talked my principal and superintendent basically into letting me throw a show. So it was like a 2-hour long event, right?
Okay.
We used the funding to like go towards the prom and stuff like that. So we did that twice. The first real show I ever did was down at Toad's Place with Big Mike the Ruler. He had put me on with Styles P opening act. Okay. And I think I was like 16 or something at the time. So that was crazy. You know what I mean? And that kind of broke the ice for me and showed me the music shit was real. But I didn't really have an experience where I was making money from it yet. So like high school time, I was really, really into getting money from the weed shit. Like I didn't really mess around with like any of the other, you know what I mean, stuff.
Type.
But like with the weed shit, I was always into growing. So I was always the person that was like, I don't want to like buy. I don't want to be the purchaser. I want to like make sure one, my product's clean, it's safe, and it's healthy. So I ended up going up to Maine for a little bit. I did the dispensary thing for a little while. I got in trouble down here too. Did a little charity bid like I told you about before. Right. But it's like it's one of those things that like I like to like look at it as it pushed me into the music space the right way. So it was like I was at a point in life where it was like I could either go get a 9 to 5, you know what I mean, which is nothing wrong with. Definitely anybody that's got a 9 to 5, I'm not bashing it in any way before I say this, but or I could take a chance at my dreams. And I just went full swing at my dreams without a penny in my pocket, collected a bunch of debt on the way, climbed out of that, you know what I mean? And now, now I'm blessed to kind of be in the situation that I'm in. So it's like music kind of saved my life in a weird way. Like it was like one of those things where I didn't really know what my purpose was. Growing up in Manchester and feeling like, all right, what am I going to be? Am I just going to be an insurance guy or a tax guy or one of these suit and tie type of jobs like everybody kind of wants me to be, So, but I was able to, tell my story through my experiences and, relay that through music. And that's why music's always been home for me.
So when you first started rapping, who was you listening to? Like, who was you inspired by to make music?
Wayne.
Hold on.
Wayne first.
Okay,
Carter 2
okay.
days. My best friend to this day, Terrell Crawley. We went to school together since we was like 10 years old at Highland Park in Manchester. And then he ended up moving back to Hartford and stuff. So we didn't go to school together after that. But he would always show up with all the new Wayne stuff, G-Unit stuff. So it was like, I'd be in like 5th grade listening to I Smell Pussy. And I'm like, what is this? But it was interesting to me at the same time
Is
because
that you were? Oh,
because
okay.
I was so interested in poetry.
Okay.
And I was interested in all the other types of music, right? But I can't hold a note.
Okay.
So that's why I don't make the other types of music. And then rap kind of just filtered into kind of everything else I was doing. So progressively with the weed shit, it ended up working out there. Obviously with the pros and cons of getting in trouble and, holding it down and the burden that brings in your life, that coincided with the flow of rap music. So it was like my story kind of fit in with a lot of people's who I would say like the outside the box kind of people. Like I'm not any different. I'd say I'm like the most normalist rapper out of any rapper. But I'd also say that like I'm a little bit eccentric. Cause it's like I don't come up here and try and like I don't really wear designer clothes. I don't do the sports cars and the music videos and shit. Like it's more just I want to tell my story because I believe that if people are gonna remember me and my legacy, I want to like sell myself as the brand and my dreams and my visions, my ideas, my thoughts. Whereas I feel like a lot of other artists, no shot at anybody, but a lot of artists like want to sell an image.
Okay.
So I just try to keep everything I do authentic. The ups and the downs, sometimes it brings me to the right places. Sometimes it brings me to the wrong places. And, right now I'm blessed to be where I'm at. So, yeah.
So when you say your story, what parts of your story do you feel as if you specifically highlight in your music? Because that was real shit that we was listening to earlier. I was fucked with it. I caught all the punchlines. It was fire.
Appreciate it.
So, like, what parts do you feel as if you really want people to understand when they listen to your music?
I would say that each song kind of has a different perception of how I'm feeling.
Okay.
So every different mood I have. Sometimes I have songs that are more like let's go to the club, let's turn up, let's have fun. I have songs that are more like, okay, we're sitting in our room by ourselves thinking about all the things we did wrong in the last 10 years. You know what I mean? And then I also have the stuff where it's like reflect, learn, and move forward. So I think each song has its own message in each stage of my life. And progressively, the story gets a little bit different each time, but I like to keep it so it's relatable with anybody. Like similar to where I grew up, like I was saying, Section 8, middle-class mansions, doesn't matter where you live. I want you to be able to relate to what I'm saying because it's like at a humanistic level rather than an egotistical level, if that makes sense.
I get it. Okay. Yeah. So, in the beginning, the song we played, right? Before we get to that, the song we played in the beginning was called Diary, right?
Yep.
Now, we didn't listen to the full song in its entirety, right?
Yep.
But what was your mindset like going into the studio recording that said song?
So that was actually the first song I did in about 6 months as far as recording wise.
Okay, we got to speak on that.
Yeah, so I was writing for a while, but my son was just born about a year ago, so I kind of like appreciate that. Took a little hiatus, made sure that the family was situated kind of before I put my foot all the way on the gas, once again, because I'm like, anybody will tell you that's around me, I'm in and out all the time doing my thing. I might be in Denver this week, Philadelphia next week, when my foot is on the gas. But I needed to make sure I was doing what I was doing to get my son situated, baby mom situated, home situated before I go and do all this stuff. Because I'm blessed. I'm in one of those situations where it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm performing at a strip club or if I'm going out of state. Like the trust, the respect is there. So I just had to let me make sure that she's situated before I excel to this next level in my career. So
respect.
Here we are right now, a year later. Son's doing good, she's doing good, everything's good. I can't complain. So.
At the event, right, Real Rap Experience Volume 2, You told the crowd that you've been making music for 19 years.
Yep.
So I want you to speak on more so on the ups and downs and just basically what you learned more so. I know I asked you this question on stage, but now you got, we could get more into depth about it.
Yeah.
So like, what do you feel as if like what changed from when you first started making music until now?
I think the initial reason I made music was like not to get necessarily famous or anything like that. It was more so I just did it as a therapeutic thing.
Okay.
I didn't really believe, I would say, for the first, like from when I was 9 until I'll say like 23, even like post jail. Like I did not think there was money in music, to be honest with you. And then like I just kept putting my foot on the gas and kind of believing in it because it was like it was the only thing I had. Like I have a daughter as well that I have joint custody with my other baby mom as well. So it's like I've always been kind of like a family figure at the same time as like a musician since my music has popped. So I got introduced to like the reality of like this could be a job, like in a weird way when it was too late, but not too late yet at the same time. For about like 3 years, it was like I was generating enough to break even. And I'm like, I don't know if this could be a career. And then out of nowhere, I got super lucky. I just kept doing shows all over the place, anywhere I could, paying for opening acts, any opportunity I could get. And then I kind of just, I don't want to say forced, but like introduced myself into out-of-state markets. So I went to New York first, Rhode Island, all those type of like surrounding states. Tested my product, which was my music, to a new audience instead of like the kind of the same people I've been testing it with. And honestly, that's where I realized like, okay, this is what I want to do for work. This is where I realized like there's a paycheck when it needs to come. You know what I mean?
Fact. So I was looking on your page. I was looking at your YouTube, all that.
Yes, sir.
I seen you got a collab with PGF Nook.
Yep.
How did that come about?
DM.
Okay.
Hey, I see you're in town. You wanna work? I don't even know where he's at or what his situation is right now. To be honest with you, he was cool people's. You know what I mean? I can't say anything negative about him in any way, but I'll say taught me a lot of things. Like that was the first like industry artist that actually was current that I like ever had the chance to work with. I would say. So hearing him like be younger than me and be like, yo, I'm walking around doing this. This is my life. This is what it's like once you get signed to a major. It was different than the shit you see on YouTube where everybody tells you not to do that. To be honest, that was a big reality check for me, because I feel like everybody wants to do the independent thing, which is great. That's what I do right now. But if you have the right machine behind you that's respecting your creative vision, I don't think it's something that people should rule out too early.
And what you mean by the right machine?
So, like, I can't go and, like, hit up Spotify and be like, hey, I know you have these 30 curators that always have this type of listener on your pages, right? Like, I might be able to run ads or I might be able to, like, send them a message, but it's not going to get across the same way if Universal does it.
Okay.
Or if, Sony or whoever these labels are, or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't even know who's current these days because I'm independent right now. But I keep the door open because it's like, even marketing-wise, right? Like, would I love to run $1 million in ads? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But do I have $1 million to run for ads? No. That's part of why I took the year off, too. Because it was like I started getting the money from music and didn't understand how to use the money from music.
Okay.
Like, it was like, poof, it's here. You know what I mean? And, like, I did a couple regular shows. Then it was like, okay, now you're getting paid shows. Now you're flying places to do shows. And it's like the money was coming so fast that I'm like, it's not going to stop. And then I ended up having an event get shot up. One of my events got shot up.
Damn.
Yeah, unfortunately. So.
Just some wild, reckless night drunk.
Wild shit. It wasn't nothing associated with me or any of my people, thankfully. But yeah, it was an event over in Vernon. We were doing a collaborative series kind of with Lucky's Cabaret. So I had brought Joel Santana over there. I brought Rowdy Rebel over there. Millie's over there.
Millie's all out.
Yeah, a couple different people. A great relationship. They were a cool spot to work with. But unfortunately, some nonsense from a whole different neck of the woods ended up carrying its way over there, and some wild shit happened in the parking lot. Security guard got hit. Somebody else got hit like 6 times.
Damn.
Nobody passed, thankfully.
Okay.
Grateful for that.
At least.
But it was one of those situations where obligation-wise, like, I signed up for it. You got to pay the staff. You got to pay the dancers. oh, you're getting the money for the tickets, so now everybody's got to get refunded. So I ended up cash advancing large a large sum of money, which obviously I'm sure you're probably more logical than me with financial decisions just by the way you talk. I can already tell. But I cash advanced more than I was worth, like liquid at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. No, it's okay. Next month's gonna be a good month. And then my streams went for some reason that month, and it was like, whoa. Now the income's not the same. I have this massive bill. So after $28,000 of paying that $7,000 off, I finally got myself out of that hole. And it's like, nobody's to really blame for that. You know what I mean? Other than myself. I didn't have the financial literacy when my music first started doing the right thing. So now that I have that, I'm like, I look at it a completely different way now. It's like, all right, let's do this 1% every day. If we could do 1% for 100 days, that's a double.
Okay.
That's 3 doubles in a year.
Okay.
You need 11 doubles to be a millionaire on $500.
Tight. Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not an impossible feat. It's just got to be managed properly. You can't take too much liability. You can't take too much responsibility. Like, that's where I'd always go wrong. It was like, oh, I got the bag. I got the fan base. Let me book this venue. It'll sell if such and such comes. And then I started finding out names that were generating Grammy nominations weren't pulling the crowds I thought they'd pull. And they cost a lot of money.
Yep.
You know, so it's like the approach and the route was not the best route. It was like a blessing in disguise that like I didn't crash out and burn, but like I definitely had to, recoup and figure it out, make better decisions, and not sign myself up for so much liability again.
Okay, I got this question for you, right? And it's one of my favorite questions to ask all the guests.
Yep.
So if somebody is trying to become a rapper, right? Because you said you didn't have the financial literacy at the time to be able to make right decisions with your money, right? So one thing that might be holding somebody back from making music now is the fact that he might have a job, right? And he wants to be a rapper, but he has everyday things that he has to pay for. And on top of that, he has rent, bills, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to being an artist, you got to pay for studio time. You got to pay for your cameraman. You got to pay to get on certain platforms. You got to pay to perform, right? So I want you to speak to, like, when somebody is first starting out trying to become an artist, how should they properly manage their money in ways in which they can still be an artist but still be able to live their lifestyle?
So the thing that they need to do before they even try and become an artist is they need to manage their mindset.
Okay.
So I would say this is like, you don't necessarily need a budget to be a musician. I know that sounds crazy. It's like that's kind of a
break that down.
ignorant thing to say. Like,
Break that down.
Right. Studio time does cost, but you know what doesn't cost is like if you work a 10 or 12 hour job, right? And you have 4 hours free at the night. It doesn't cost you anything to go to every single studio and ask them, hey, if I do your janitorial work, can you give me an hour of studio time?
Okay.
Like, there's always a way to leverage your resources and your intelligence and the things that you offer. Bring value where you go. You feel me? So, like, I didn't learn this kind of thing until I was an older artist, you know? And that's never an example that I've done. I'm not saying that's never worked for
No, I
me.
get
So
you.
if it doesn't work for you or
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
goes and tries it, you feel me? It might not work. But
Yeah.
conceptually, like, that's how you have to look at what you do. So, like I said, 1%. Everything is 1%, bro. It's like if I can get 10 more listeners every day, right? Now I got, a couple hundred listeners in a month, a couple thousand a year. And then if they tell 3 or 4 people, now I'm all of a sudden at 500,000. Now I'm at 1 million.
Facts.
It's like, boom, you jump that hurdle real quick. But yeah, no, that's what I would say to start up, like, for artists is like, think about the way you think of things and bring value to every place that you go. And as soon as you do that, your money management is obviously important. Like, we all have rent or food or necessities that we have to pay. And I think sometimes people use those things as an excuse to not pursue their dreams fully.
Okay.
You know, once again, no shot at anybody in particular.
Yeah.
Even myself. Like, I'll be like, I'm sitting at home. Should I go DoorDash today and have more money for the studio or money to throw towards ads?
Real shit.
And then I'll look down and I'll be like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to do it. And it's like, that's the kind of behavior I still try and change. It's like, that'll make the difference for the artist starting up, I guess. That's my best advice. Be innovative, intelligent, and then always bring value where you go.
So now, once you have the money, right, what do you do to properly manage the money to become a bigger artist?
So I'll say this, like, it depends where your stream of revenue is coming from. If merch is your biggest thing, then you should be working on your Instagram. If streams are your biggest thing, then you should be working on your DSPs, whether
Okay.
it's YouTube or Spotify or whatever it's going to be. And then making sure that you have all your metadata in order too.
What's metadata? For those people that don't know, because for me, but I want you to explain, what is metadata?
So my dumbed down definition, because I'll be transparent with you, I don't fully understand exactly what it is basically like your digital footprint as an artist. So like your IPI number, like your publishing number, your DistroKid information to be able to like
Yo, lock in, y'all.
synchronize
Go
and
ahead.
stuff. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you some sauce right now.
Okay.
Somebody told me this. I'm not gonna say who told me this because I don't know if he'd appreciate if I put that information out there. But I see a lot of artists buying big, expensive features, right, with these industry dudes, and then they get screwed over. Make sure it's a primary feature. The difference between a primary and a regular feature is like, if you're a primary, you have the publishing and all that connected, so you actually end up on their Spotify page versus not being in their algorithm. So you might give somebody $30,000 and not be able to be in their algorithm. But if you make sure that your paperwork's in order and what you're asking for is accurate and you're being transparent, the label's being transparent, you're good to go.
So never do nothing off strength, nothing
No.
off love, no none of that. Get it on paper,
Bro, you know how many times
contractual.
I
all
got
that.
burned and it's like, it's not worth going to jail over fixing this solution? Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
feel you.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to weigh out your options. Like, I mean, I don't even care. I'll put this one out there. Bro, you remember when we went to New York with Ludfo? Ridiculous.
Baba.
Ridiculous. So, like, the dude wanted, I think it was like $700 for a feature. This was like maybe, what,
2017,
Bro,
it gotta be.
2017, something like that, right?
Gotta be.
So we go to New York, right? We drive all the way up there. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yo, bread's in hand. Let's go. He's talking about the power's out in Quad Studio. He needs me to send him the money first so they could turn the power back on. I said, bro, you had me drive out here 4 hours to tell me some weirdo shit like this. That's why you don't take word of mouth. I don't care because it's like, I don't beef for rappers. I don't do shit to rappers. I didn't do shit to them. I just left.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? If Ludfo sees this, Ludfo sees this. But that's the way I look at shit. Is it's just like, don't put yourself in a position where you're not properly prepared. Any feature I have or anything like that you see from this point forward, you could bet there was a piece of paperwork that went behind it. You know what I'm saying?
So
Always.
I want you to speak to the artists that you met that you had good relationships with, not love for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
I saw that you brought out Millie's,
Yep.
Joel Santana, and Rowdy Rebel. What was it like meeting them individually?
So I'd say this. Joel's growing up, I Can't Feel My Face. That mixtape with Lil Wayne was like the reason I started rapping.
Okay.
So meeting him, the first time I met him, I opened up for him in Waterbury when Lit Lounge was still open.
Okay.
So that was like a passive meet and greet. I ended up giving him some of my weed, whatever. He thought it was cool. He was just getting off his situation. So he didn't even have I Can't Feel My Face out yet, right? So a year later, whatever, financial situation is different. I was like, yo, let's get you in Connecticut again. And meeting him like face to face and having a real conversation with him, it was like it's interesting because I got to be careful how I say this, right? Like, you realize the people that you look up to when you're young are humans. Like, it's like, I like to be careful how I like analyze
He's not
things.
Superman. He's a
Like,
regular
it's
guy.
It's like this, right? Like, when you're a kid, sometimes you inflate like what someone's doing, right? Just because of the influence that they have on you. And it was like, this is no shot at him, but meeting him, it just showed me it's like how you and I have a conversation. It's like, this is just an everyday guy that had a talent, that made some good choices.
Yup.
And it's like, it becomes surreal. I'll say too, like Fetty Wap was actually like flat out the most welcoming artist I ever met, worked with any of that.
I was gonna ask you about WAP only because 2015, all I was listening to was Fetty Wap.
Yeah, Fetty Wap. All right, so funny story about Fetty Wap. We're in Bridgeport, Sacred Heart University. I think this was 2015.
Okay.
One of my peoples was going to school out here, so I got in the front row, threw him a CD, right? Doesn't see it. Throwing CDs. This girl next to me that I never met in my life smacks the CDs out of my hand. Fetty's like, what you got over there, bro? What you got over there, bro? I throw him another CD. Takes it, instantly follows me on stage. RGF, the whole label follows me, right? And they're like DMing back and forth. Never goes anywhere. But like 7 years later, 2022, I believe, is when I met him. I get invited to do an event in, where was it, in New Jersey? Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm opening up, thinking we're not even going to see him. I end up going upstairs to like the VIP area. They invited me up. And I'm sitting there waiting, and he comes in and he's like, "No, you guys don't have to leave." So we started chopping it up, talking. Gave him some weed, whatever, because that was like my thing. All the weed I would grow would be like, "This is how I get in the door. I don't even need to tell you I'm a rapper first. Let me get in the door this way, right?" So we start smoking a piece, talking and shit, and he's just giving me like real life, actual artist advice. Like some of it I would share, some of it I wouldn't, frankly, just because like he respected me enough to have
Tell
those
you, yeah.
conversations. But do I talk to him now? No. But did it influence me? Absolutely.
Free Fetty.
Free Fetty, you know what I mean? Like, he was somebody that was like, "Don't quit." That was like the only artist I'll say that literally word for word said, "Don't quit. Don't stop what you're doing." You know what I mean? Keep doing this. You caught my attention. You're gonna catch somebody else's attention. Like, so when I heard that, and seeing he was a diamond certified artist, that's where I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is different." This is
So
different.
like, how do you like when you have these conversations, right, with these artists? How do you like try to leverage what they give you as advice into your own life? Because it might be some ups and downs. Because we both men, shit happens. You get what I'm saying? So basically, what I'm asking you is, right? You meet this artist, he gives you advice. You come back home, you try to implement it, but you get hit with a little roadblock. When you get hit with this roadblock, a lot of artists, local artists, they might go on like a little music break or whatever because it might be something serious that might be whatever bothering them.
Yeah.
But he told you to not quit.
Right.
So when it comes down to you get hit with these roadblocks, you feel like quitting. What do you do at those points?
I think the best way to not quit is to not burn out. Like you can't overdo it. So like sometimes people have to realize like you need to sleep sometimes. Like I'm like one of those people that's horrible with that shit. I'll stay up till 4:30 in the morning doing nothing, just thinking about what I'm gonna do tomorrow to make my music better or my brand better or this and that. And sometimes you have to let your brain rest. You have to be a human. You know what I mean? You have to have interaction with your family, and sometimes you have to actually turn it off all the way for a week or two. And I'm not saying like completely, right? Like I'm not saying like put the mic down, put the pen down for a year straight. But like with me personally, I just wrote for a year. Like I didn't go record because I was like my headspace, my financial space, and realistically my plan is not in place for what I need to do the next time I release. So it's like I think that a lot of people fall into the algorithm trap, and it's like we see that like how quick TikTok can get shut off or how quick Instagram can change or how quick things change. Like you never want to follow the trend. Like once you find out about the trend or the pattern, it's too late.
Okay.
You already missed it. Like that's kind of how it works with everything in life, whether it's financial investments or anything like that. Once you hear about it, you're probably too late to the party. So like the way I look at it is just be, as we talked about before, innovative. Try to come up with a new way to generate revenue. Like you could give me any situation. Like if it's like a studio, for example, right? Like best way to generate money for something like that would be have free events for the first 6 months, bro. Like you don't need to make anything back because as long as you're not spending to put on the event, meeting those people and building that how we did, shaking hands. Now every time I have a situation where I have a show or something, who am I gonna call? Mr. Montana. Why? Because I know he's got good vendors, he's got good artists. Off simply a favor, off you being like, yeah, you want to come down and do this?
Yeah.
And it was like those kind of things are what's going to take any artist to the next level. And I think we don't do that enough. We get too caught up in ourselves and I'm better than this guy or I'm
Yup.
this and that. Like, I don't know. That's kind of why I stayed to myself for a year or two because I felt not in any way that I was better than anybody, right? But I felt like sometimes, like, whether it's from where I grew up or complexion or whatever it is, that like sometimes I felt like I didn't get the same respect in a lot of different rooms at home that I got far away from home. You know what I mean? Like I'll do a show in Brooklyn and I never get a weird look. I do a show in Hartford, I always get a weird look until I get the thumbs up or the head shake and then everybody confirms. And I've been doing shows in Hartford for what, 10 years now at this point? Like it never changes. You know what I mean? And I've never had a situation where somebody's like, you can't do that or you're this or that. You know what I mean? But it's like it's so different when you leave kind of your home and you see like, whoa, I'm in the middle of Brooklyn right now. I'm literally the only white dude in here right now, and everybody's excited to hear me rap because they're curious what I'm gonna do. Like that's exciting to me. That's more fun to me than like me rapping in front of the same 30 people 1,000 times over and over. You know, so I try to explore and see what I can. You know, like I also try not to get too caught up in like the culture stuff and all that too. feel like my brand is like more based off emotion than really anything else. And I feel like right now the way that the world is trending, it makes me nervous sometimes as a guest in hip hop. Like it's like I do get nervous sometimes to walk into new rooms and wonder like, damn, am I gonna have a fair chance in this situation? You know what I mean? The same way I'm sure other people feel in different situations. You know, like DCF was like the first time because I had a DCF case with my first child. Luckily, you know what I mean, everything's good. Like I said, I got great custody agreement right now. I'm one of the few dads out there that both my kids have my last name and I don't pay any child support.
Talk
and I
that.
spend all the time with my kids.
Talk that.
That's why I don't pay child support, because I actually spend the time and provide. I don't have to, you know, send it over and fake it. But, you know, that was talking my shit for a second there. But,
As you said.
you know, with
As
DCF,
you
the thing
said.
that was crazy was like, I went to jail for weed shit, bro. And they were on my ass about like, we don't know if you're a capable father and, you know, this and that. And it was the first time in my life that I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm doing everything I can do as a dad, and I feel like I'm not getting a fair shot at being a dad. And low key, as like a white guy that didn't grow up in the hood and didn't have crazy like race issues on my end growing up, just from growing up in an Italian family that was welcoming to everybody, it was the first time I felt like, whoa, is this what it's like to be on the other side of the stick or on the other side of this craziness like that people feel? You know, so I always try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, don't ever make somebody feel like that. Anywhere I go, I always try to be accepting. You know, my parents were always really, really big into that. My grandparents were big into that. My grandfather passed away a couple of years ago at 103.
Damn, condolences.
Appreciate you. First generation Italian immigrant. My mom's side, my dad's side was the same way. And they were just always open-minded and welcomed because we always... I don't know how much you know about Italian history. You know a lot about like Italian American stuff?
Not really, I'm black.
I feel you. So, like when they came over on the boat, like to Ellis Island, like they used to make us change our last names
Okay.
to Americanize it because Italians were considered not good whites.
Like Johnson.
like the dirty whites, for lack of a better term, right?
Okay.
So then they would like, so my last name was supposed to be Cortese or something like that with an apostrophe. They ended up making it Cortese and removing the apostrophe to make it sound more American. per se,
American.
Right? They used to make us, not make, but recommend you live in particular neighborhoods, and if you didn't, your house might get burned down or broken into or things like that. And it would be Irish and Italian people or, you know, things like that. And that's the thing that people don't understand is like a lot of people in my position, like I never experienced, literally in my childhood, I never really experienced seeing anybody apply prejudice to somebody else. So it was odd for me when I got into like the rap music space and I didn't fully conceptually understand why some people might not like me. You know what I mean? And I'm cool with it. Like once I understood that, I'm like, okay, what I need to do is just stay authentic to myself, and that barrier is never going to be a problem. You know what I mean? It's like at your event, bro. It's like I walk in, no one knows who I am. They don't know what the fuck I'm going to be talking about. And then I just start talking, telling my story about my life. It's like, can't get upset about that
At all.
You know what I mean? Like
At all. And the music is tough too.
Appreciate that.
Because
Thank
he's
you.
speaking real shit. So it's like upon hearing it, it's like I can't really even judge you that much because it's like, yo, the shit that he's saying, either I've been through it or I know somebody else, blase, blah, so I get it.
And it might be a little different each way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the thing that used to kill me would be like I would do the talent shows in school, and it would always be, oh, here comes Eminem, and it's like, bro, I don't like Eminem. Like I never even listened to him growing up. Now, as an adult, after wild situations in my life, did I go and spin back and be like, oh, he's a pretty fucking talented rapper, absolutely.
Nice.
But like as a kid, like
You don't care about all
I
that.
was never into that, and it always sucked to like be. That's like the one person that I'm compared to all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. That frustrated me growing up. Like I said, I'm a guest in hip hop, so it's.
So
it's
at
interesting.
what point in time did you like come to terms with like, all right, if I'm gonna be a rapper, I just have to deal with like the fact that people like are
Yeah.
gonna be prejudiced to me. Like, at what was it a specific instance that happened to you that is now like, okay, I get it, I understand, or was it just like, man, it is what it is?
I mean, like, so I'll put it to you like transparently. Like the only times I had ever been shot at in my life was like for selling shit in places that people didn't feel was my neighborhoods.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The only times I ever went through situations that were wild was kind of based on that. So did I look at it as a surprise? Like, not 100%, but did I look at it as something like, you just got to deal with this and handle yourself in a way where you don't add to the problem. So, like, the only way to kill ignorance is to show them that they're wrong.
Tight.
Like I don't know. I'm a peace person. Like, there's not really unless you physically, like, harm my family or even.
Then it's no peace.
Then
At all.
it's different. You know
At
what
all.
I'm saying? Then
I hear you.
I'll do the 40 years if I have to do the. I
Yeah.
don't care. You know what I'm saying? But, like, as far as, like, words, there's nothing that could deter me or make me want to stop doing what I'm doing because I love it and it's me. You know what I mean? That's my personality. The only thing I like to think I'm good at is growing weed and rapping and being a dad. That's the few things I'm good at. So
I know a guy. He grows weed, he raps, and he's a dad. Look.
right there.
Right
That's what the
there.
spark was.
He grows
I
weed,
like
he
that.
raps, and
There
he's
you
a
go.
dad.
There we
I
go.
feel like y'all gonna have a lot in common. For me,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
connect y'all.
nah,
And
that's
he
exciting,
cameraman,
bro.
he raps, all kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
see, he relates
Shout out to
to
my
the-
guy, Gimme.
You
get what I'm
probably
saying?
probably been rocking out since pre-prohibition too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what it is. Like,
Oh, so let's get into the tunes a little bit.
talk,
You ready?
Yeah.
Boom, Ghost.
Yep.
Speak to me about the studio session. Speak to me about you writing the song. Cause I know, did you think it was gonna hit 13 million?
No,
Okay,
no,
cool.
no.
So when you go in there, what you thinking?
So Ghost was like, bro, this is the craziest shit too. It's like Ghost I like made as a joke, kind of.
Okay.
Like, it was like my boy hit me up maybe like 1:00 in the morning one night. It was like, yo, I just made this beat. Mind you, I don't even have a TikTok at the time. He ended up getting the sample from TikTok. So I'm like, where'd you get the sample from? He said, don't worry about it. This shit's fire. I start writing some shit down. I'm like, what's some shit I've never done before? Like, I've never been in a Rolls Royce before. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I was in a Ghost, pull up in a Ghost? Like, and I'm like thinking like what song would go on the radio, right? And like, I made that song kind of based on that. It was like the least thought out song I ever did, frankly. Like, it's like, and I was just telling DeMar, my buddy from Connecticut People Records over here. It's like, out of all of the songs that I have, I would never have thought that was the one that caught, because I try to put a lot of effort and thought into like my songs. So like, when that happened, it was like I pulled up to the studio, we laid down the song, released the song, and it didn't really do nothing for like 30,000 streams. I shouldn't say that's nothing, but like it did like 30,000 streams the first 3 months, right? And then like 6 months in, it was at like 100. Then it was like maybe 200, 250, and then all of a sudden 1 month it just was like boom, 500,000. And then ever since then, like, watch, I'm gonna show you right now. So like, even currently, I don't understand why this happens, but Ghost is still just trending in other countries. So this is real time, last 48 hours right now.
Damn.
And then as you can see, like, every single month, like for the last, I mean, you could go back as far as you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's consistently generated a good amount of traffic towards new songs too. So like, Ghost, for a magnitude of reasons, doesn't generate monetarily what it should generate anymore. But I'll say the opportunities that it's created have been more lucrative than the song were. So like, I would not have gotten $2,500, $3,000 bookings to go to a nightclub or to pop bottles at a strip club or to do things that like I always wanted to kind of do if that song didn't have the traction it did. Do I wish that like the bag kind of came the way the bag should have came? Absolutely, but goes back to check your samples. Make sure that you don't just say word of mouth agreement. This is a
Word
good
of mouth
idea.
agreement, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, everybody involved in that song was great people. Studio session was great. You know, that song changed my life 100%. It's a song, like I said, that made me believe, wow, you could actually make something of yourself with music. You know what I mean? So definitely.
So how did you properly like market that song after you dropped it? Because you said for the first 3 months it did 30K.
Bro, so I've never run an ad on that song in my life. That's one of the few songs that I've never run an ad on.
Really?
Never run an ad on.
I'm pretty. You gotta. Okay, go ahead.
Like, if I'm lying, I'm flying with
Okay.
that. So like, I was doing everything in my opinion right up until then. So it was like every act that came to town. Like I said, I'm buying the tickets, doing the opening slot, gonna resell the tickets, might lose some money. You know what I mean? Over and over and over. Then eventually I was able to sell the 40 tickets or the 50 tickets and do my own shows and stuff. But honestly, bro, like that was not. I don't know. I don't even. Hold on. What was the question originally again? I just want to make sure I answer it right.
So like, how did you properly market the song
So
After you did
I
it.
felt like I was marketing everything about me the right way, and that song just happened to be the one that caught. I guess
Okay.
to answer your question, it wasn't like I'm gonna keep doing reels with this or I'm gonna keep pressing it like that. I think like honestly, bro, at the algorithm level and at the ad level and stuff, like we could go super in depth if you want to, like with funnel systems and you know what I mean.
Oh, I got somebody that can talk to you about that too.
Ads managers and all that stuff. Like that's the way if you're gonna do ads, like don't do a boosted post. That's just gonna hurt your page. It's not gonna help your page. So take notes if you're listening right now.
Okay.
Boosted posts will not help your page. Make sure you're an ads manager and actually creating a funnel, generating leads, entertaining the lead, catching their attention, and then closing the deal on the third step. But once you get over that hurdle, like you can really market anything as long as like the pitch is authentic, as long as there's something that's gonna catch people's attention, it'll work. So like with Ghost, it was just like after it crossed that threshold of like, oh, this is my biggest song. Because I have another one, Limelight, that's at like close to 500,000. But like that was the first one that crossed that 7-figure mark. That's where I would just start DMing clubs and be like, hey, I have this song. You want me to come to your club for such and such amount of money? And then that's how that kind of began. But it's like I always reach out first, like most of the time. Like I don't get a lot of cold like, hey, Goonie J, you want to come do this or that? Like, no, I'll look around and I'll say, okay, this city looks like it's buzzing on my algorithm right now, or Spotify says I should be here. And then I'll go look up every club in that area and I'll be like, hey, I just happen to be coming to town on this date. Would you want to do something? I might not even be coming to town.
It sounds good though.
I'm coming to town once you decide that you want to book me.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And it's not
Finesse.
it's not me lying necessarily because the goal is to come to town, right?
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to be there, but it's
You
all
jazzing
about
a little bit.
Yeah, the way you present yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like, bro, listen, this one I don't even give a fuck about. You see this necklace? This is moissanite, bro, and I'm proud of it. I don't
Okay.
give a fuck. Everybody will sit there and be like, VVS this, VVS that. No, bro, I don't got it like that. But this shit passes the diamond tester if some weirdo walks up on me trying to be funny. And the other thing about it is like I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for this, bro. If I
Type
decide I
shit.
don't want to wear it tomorrow, cool. It's not
Fuck
gonna
it.
have crippled me. I didn't have to take out a loan to wear this shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So I like I said, transparency is very important when you're doing things, bro. Like I don't know.
Cause people gonna like and follow the stuff that's genuine and authentic. You feel me? Because the relatability, like we keep saying from earlier.
Yeah, bro.
That's a fact. Yo, so what else do you got on the way music wise
Yeah,
that
so-
people could look out for?
So I got an album coming up next month. It's called The Giving Tree. So I
Okay.
was talking a little bit about this at the show, but like the concept of it is like from the children's book by Shel Silverstein. The boy in the book is basically like growing into a man and taking advantage of this tree, right? So he's like, first he starts with the leaves, using it as shelter or to keep himself cool. Then he starts taking branches and bark and carving names into it and stuff. Then he takes like the actual arms to build a house. He eventually takes so much from his like resource that the tree still loves him, but the tree has nothing else to give. So the way I see it is like with music, I've definitely been both the tree and been the boy at the same time that has gone too far or said, you know, maybe I did overstep a little bit, or I did take advantage of this situation a little bit more than I should have. You know what I mean? So how we're talking about transparency, I felt like it was the perfect kind of conceptual thing that like people would relate to even at a childhood level. You know, like you think back to damn when I was 8 years old and I found out what that feeling is, like that's the exact feeling I'm trying to like convey to the people. You know what I mean?
So is how far along is it already done or you still
So I
working?
just have like basically like final drafts to get edited. So it's
Okay.
all recorded and shit like that, but we just haven't finished up that part. I have actually one more party song that I got to put on there because I had to have one song that was like radio oriented for it. But that's going to be my first big release. I'm hoping for the end of next month, but either way, I'm going to start putting singles out next month.
Okay.
Video wise, I'm looking for videographers right now as well too. So if we got any videographers out there, you know, feel free to tap in. Yeah, it's really just going to be honestly a lot of the stuff that you've seen how I was moving before, just better executed, better planned out, and hopefully different geographically too. You know, so that's the plan though. Yes, sir. Mr. Montana.
Yes, y'all. Appreciate you for pulling up, bro.
Appreciate you for having me.
Yo, we definitely gonna connect more. You get what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So we can
Absolutely.
share ideas, all that. You get what I'm saying? We can make something happen, bro. Sure. Did you enjoy yourself?
Man, I had a good time. Like I said, Bridgeport. I was out here last week or maybe the week before that. One of the best shows I've ever been to in my life, hands down. As far as like, I don't know, what do we classify it as? Is it a showcase or what was it?
We can say a showcase.
So essentially, like, one of the big problems me as an artist that I have with a lot of different showcases is like you never get an introduction when you walk in the room to anyone. And the good thing with Mr. Montana was it was like there was no pedestal of like this artist is more important than this artist or such and such. You walk in and every person that walks in, hey, meet this person,
Fact.
shake hands with this person, meet
Fact.
this guy. And that was like a beautiful thing to me. So Bridgeport, you restored some faith in Connecticut music scene for me. Real shit.
Yes, yes, yes.
Real Rap Pod, you know where we're at. Appreciate y'all for having me once again. But definitely, Mr. Montana, we'll be in touch for sure.
With that being said, we out, y'all.